In this video, I want to talk to you about the importance of an eSIM and the importance of having data when you land in a new country. So let me tell you a story. One of my friends was visiting me here in Latin America, and he arrived at the airport. He arrived in Latin America. I told him many times, download and activate your eSIM before you arrive so that you have data the second your plane lands, right? Anyway, as you can imagine, the friend forgot to download and activate the eSIM. His plane lands and he has no data. He has no data until he goes and buys a physical SIM from some random mobile shop, which can be kind of hard to find in the airport. Like when you land at an airport, let's think about this. When you land at an airport, what do you want to do? You want to breeze through security, get out to the taxi, Uber waiting area, order your Uber, and you're gone. That's how a professional lands in an airport. They land, they exit the airport, they order the Uber, and they're gone, right? How does the unprofessional, unsophisticated first-time traveler land at an airport? Well, they land at the airport, they have no data, they go through security, they come out, and since they have no data, they have to either buy a SIM card, a physical SIM card on the spot, if the shop even exists, or they have to hop in a cab with no data, and they can't order an Uber because they don't have data. Maybe the airport has Wi-Fi, probably not. Some airports only have Wi-Fi in the leaving area, but not in they have Wi-Fi, in the boarding zone, but not in the arrival zone. Makes sense? So how does the unsophisticated first-time tourist arrive? So they arrive, they have no data, and basically they'll have to hop in a generic taxi cab. They're going to have to deal with those guys that go, taxi, taxi, you'll need that taxi, sir. And you do not want to be dealing with those guys. You want to order an Uber and hop in an Uber. You do not want to deal with the taxi cartel, the taxi mafia from the airport, right? The other piece of this is when you land, a lot of flights are weird hours. You're landing at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. You're landing at a weird time where you're not landing in the middle of the day when all the stores of the airport are open. So even if that airport happens to have a mobile shop at the arrivals area so that when you disembark from the plane, in theory, you could go to the mobile shop and get a SIM card. Well, if you're arriving at a weird hour, if you're arriving at 3 in the morning, that shop, no chance that shop is open, right? So what are you going to do? You really think the unsophisticated traveler is going to, time their flights to arrive midday so that they can go to the mobile shop? No. The unsophisticated traveler is like picking whatever the cheapest flight is, arrive at some weird hour, right? And so they're like double screwing themselves, basically. So how can all this be avoided? So coming back to the beginning is you need an eSIM. You need an eSIM that is activated before you arrive in the country. Now, I like a company called Airalo. It's spelled Airalo. There are other eSIM companies, but I think Airalo is probably the market leader. And you get this Airalo eSIM. You download the Airalo app from the App Store, right? Apple App Store, Google App Store, whatever. You download the Airalo app. You go on the app, and you choose which country you want to buy an eSIM for. It's country specific. So it's only going to work in the country that you're buying it for, right? So Mexico, Spain, Japan, Colombia, whatever. Then you're going to select, say, Mexico, and then you're going to be given a number of options. Do you want to buy 1 gig of data valid for 7 days? Do you want to buy 2 gigs of data valid for 15 days? Do you want to buy 3 gigs of data valid for 30 days? Those are kind of the generic options, whatever country you choose. And the price will vary by country a little bit, but let's just say you do 1 gig of data, that's going to cost only $8. $8 US to be prepared to have data when you land on the ground. So it's really not a question of the cost or the money. It's just a question of thinking about these things and being prepared so that when you land in a new country, you have data the second you land and you're not dependent on going to some random physical mobile shop that may or may not be open. All right? So I recommend you can do one of two things. You can get just simply 1 gig, and the 1 gig will basically hold you for about 20 hours until you can get to a real store and buy a real physical SIM. Or you can get like a couple more gigabytes, like you can do the 3 gig package. There's even like 5 and 10 gig packages, and that might actually last you a week, and you can reload them as well. So you could technically rely on the eSIM throughout your entire visit. And if you're only visiting a country for 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, like a classic vacation, you could technically wholly rely on the eSIM without ever going and getting a real physical SIM. And that's totally valid. I would say that the downside of that is that the eSIM data is not as fast or as high quality as a physical SIM would be. So, in Mexico you have Telcel and this kind of thing. And a physical SIM from Telcel, the data is going to be stronger, it's going to be faster, it's going to be, more abundant in more locations than the eSIM would be. Obviously, if you're staying in cities, it should work. It's just not super, super fast, the eSIMs, but it does what's important, the eSIM, which is, order the Uber, check your email, check your WhatsApp, all that good stuff. So I think even if your game plan is to buy a physical SIM, like even if I was landing in a country that I was going to stay for a month, 2 months, 3 months, an extended period of time, there's no way I would say I'm going to hold out and wait till I get to a physical store. Hell no. I'm going to buy that eSIM to hold me over for 24 to 48 hours at least until I can get to that physical store. Like if you said, hey, my Latin life, we're going to Dominican Republic and I'm forcing you to live there for 3 months, I guess, just random example. First thing I'm going to do is download an Airalo eSIM for, I don't know, maybe I'll do like the 2 gigs, 15 days, $15, doesn't really matter. And I'll activate that while I'm still in my current location so that it's activated before I arrive, because you actually need to be on, I believe you need to be on Wi-Fi in order to activate it. Maybe you can activate it like on data in the previous country, but I think you need to be on Wi-Fi. Anyway, the important piece here for anyone listening, paying close attention, this is the big tip, is you have to activate this eSIM before you land in the country. And I have made this mistake before. I've bought the eSIM, I've purchased the eSIM, but forgot to activate it. And then I land in the country and I'm like, okay, let's open the eSIM, let's go. And it won't work because I forgot to activate it, but I can't activate it because I don't have data or Wi-Fi to activate it, right? It's a bit of a catch-22. So you need to activate it when you're in your previous country. So if you're flying from Canada or the USA to Mexico or Colombia, activate your Colombian eSIM while you're still in the US. Activate your Mexican eSIM while you're still in the US, okay? Hopefully that is clear. Activate the eSIM before you arrive in the country. I have been caught by this personally, probably more than once, to be honest. So I have learned my lesson and I know to activate the eSIM. So this is a huge tip, honestly. Hopefully, the point has been made clear. Hopefully I've hammered this home. Any time, any traveler, if you are arriving in a new country, you need to have an eSIM activated with data before you arrive. Yes, obviously there are a couple international phone plans with international data, such as Google Fi and T-Mobile. And so some people have that, but really only a small percentage of people have those international phone plans ready to go with international data and so forth. So for all those that don't have international data, which is literally 99% of people without paying, $50 a day, $15, $20 a day for roaming or something like that. Roaming sucks, by the way. So for 99% of people, you're going to want to do this eSIM method that I'm talking about. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this. So that's why we made the video. Hopefully we have educated you and made you a smarter traveler. We recommend Airalo. Obviously, we have an affiliate link in the bio as well, or somewhere wherever you're watching this, but any provider will do. So now you'll be a better traveler. Thank you for watching this travel tip video with My Latin Life.